Welcome back everyone. With them currently riding a 3-game win streak, the Lakers have begun to build some momentum, and they will definitely need it for the upcoming road trip. If you are not aware, they won't be returning home until April 7th, and not only that, but 9 of their 11 remaining games will come on the road, where they currently own a record of 12-20, and that will need to change if they hope to move up higher than 9th. I mean, at this point, it's going to be really difficult for them to do that. Definitely not impossible, but undeniably difficult. They're only 2.5 games back of both the 8th and 7th seed, but again, they are going to need to prove that they can win on the road. Now, thankfully 5 of their 9 remaining road games will be against sub 500 teams, but they cannot afford to take them lightly. After all, pretty much everybody gets up for a matchup with the purple and gold, and you already know they will be trying to eliminate them from playoff contention. And with that in mind here, the Lakers will have to find a way to put it all together during their upcoming road trip. They've taken a great step in the right direction, but now they have to put it all together, which in my opinion will heavily involve how they use Spencer Dinwiddie, along with continuing to improve their defense, and while at the same time maintaining their offense. And if they can do all that, along with maybe even getting back Jared Vanderbilt, then I fully believe they could get to where they want to be, and potentially even moving up a seed or two while doing it, which would obviously be ideal for them. But how can they and should they look to do it? We'll talk about exactly that during today's video. Before we get too far into it though, I would genuinely appreciate it if you could take a brief moment to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. And we'll begin by talking about their defense, which has quietly been trending upward. Not a lot quite yet, but slowly but surely they are getting better. And after a great defensive game against Philadelphia, where they held them under 95 points, they were looking pretty good against the number 2 rated offense last night. Or at least they were until the late third quarter. But up until that point, I was pretty happy with their defense, both from an effort and execution standpoint too. And if they can do that more often, then I think they could get back to where they were on defense earlier this season. It might not be much, but they went from being the 29th rated defense for a majority of the past month to now being rated 21st during their past 5 games. Again, not great, but definitely a step in the right direction. And getting back to their game last night, I think they would have been outright dominant on defense with a healthy Jared Vanderbilt. They did great on Tyrese Haliburton up until the final 2 minutes. The only real problem they had was with Pascal Siakam, and while that's definitely not an easy matchup for anybody regardless of their defensive prowess, I think they could have done it with both Reddish and Vanderbilt healthy and available, with a combination of Reddish and Dinwiddie matching up with Haliburton, and then with Vanderbilt bothering Siakam. If you paid attention throughout the game, and especially during the late third quarter, the Pacers were outright targeting Rui Hachimura, with Pascal Siakam being the beneficiary of it. I mean, the guy shot 14 times alone during the fourth quarter, and he was able to make 9 of them, including 1 trip to the free throw line as well, which did happen to come on an and one. I'm not joking when I tell you that they isolated Rui Hachimura 5 times in a row. He might not be a terrible defender, but he's simply not a very good perimeter defender, with him being much more comfortable around the rim. But unfortunately for him, he kind of has to take on that responsibility, with them not wanting LeBron to exert too much energy on defense, and then with D'Lo, Reeves, and Dinwiddie being a bit too small for that kind of matchup, that left Hachimura having to do it, which again, he's simply not very comfortable with. I mean, even Dinwiddie did a better job on Siakam after they took Rui Hachimura out, and that's with a major height disadvantage. It's really all about lateral mobility here, and unfortunately for him, Rui Hachimura does not have much of it. I love the guy, but he's really hard to have out there on defense at times. It would not be a problem if he and LeBron were not sharing the court, but they obviously do quite often. And while I think it works great for their offense, it tends to become a problem for their defense, which is really why I'm hoping for them to get back Vanderbilt. I think you could make an argument to include Dinwiddie in their starting lineup until Vando comes back, but Vanderbilt would ideally be in there for me at least. Like we found out during late last season throughout the playoffs, he really balances them out on defense. He can take on the toughest matchup on defense 1 through 4. It really doesn't matter if it's a point guard, shooting guard, or even a bigger wing player. Vanderbilt can take on that matchup, and that takes a big responsibility off guys like D'Lo, Reeves, and Hachimura. But getting back to the point about Dinwiddie here, there definitely is an argument to include him within their starting lineup, and while I would not be entirely opposed to it, I'm not sure they'll be making a change. I think it definitely would help them in certain matchups, but retaining their continuity is important here too. After all, they spent half the season trying out different lineup variations, and it took them until this one to build a good foundation, and at this point, I don't think it's really worth messing with. Again, I for one would have Vanderbilt in there if he were healthy, and that did appear to be what they were planning to do until he got hurt, but I'm not sure I go out of my way to include Dinwiddie at this point. And if you have been paying attention to what he has been saying game after game now, it's that he does not want to mess with anything. He wants to fit in, not try to do too much to fit out, which he talked about again following their game last night.
I would say that, you know, the guys being so encouraging and wanting me to play well has been the most, I guess, inspiring thing, right? You know, them having my back is big time. Again, obviously, I understand, like, volume's going to come and go just with the type of guys we have. Like I said in the last interview, like, I don't doubt my ability to go out there and, like, get a basket. Like I said, I was top 5 like ISO player for like 6 years in a row. You know, like that's what I do. You know, and being able to make plays and attack out of 45 and read the pick and roll, like stuff I've done for 10 years. You know what I mean? So definitely confident at all times, but at the same time, like I just understand the team and you know, our goal is to win a championship. Obviously, it's Lakers, like it's championship or nothing. So.
I don't know about you guys, but that has been my favorite thing about Dinwiddie so far. And don't get me wrong, I've absolutely loved his commitment to playing defense, but I've been even more proud of how unselfish that he has been. It's not often you have a very good player come in and demand absolutely nothing on offense. He has played into whatever role they have given him, even if that role does not fully take advantage of him, which thankfully they have been doing a better job of lately. He definitely benefited from no D'Angelo Russell in their game last night, but even their game before that one he got a bit more run, with Darvin Ham finally remembering that Dinwiddie can be a point guard, and I think that really helped him find a rhythm. Again, I would not be entirely opposed to moving him within their starting lineup, but I think the important part here is simply how they utilize him. I think they found out that when and if they give him on-ball opportunities, then that will often translate to him becoming a better off-the-ball player too, and I hope they keep remembering that. I know I've been talking about him a bunch lately, but they have been wasting potential here with Dinwiddie, and he showed that during their game last night with a new Laker high 26 points, including 10 of them during the first quarter alone. And if they can find a way to keep him that productive off the bench, then that could actually translate to fixing their bench problem, a pretty big issue that's often gone overlooked. I brought this up during my post-game video last night, but they have had the worst bench production offensively for quite some time now, being dead last in bench points per game, a full 3 points per game behind the second worst team. I know we always tend to make a big deal about the starting lineup, but let's not forget about the importance of having a good bench unit. And while Taurean Prince had a great game last night, it's not very often they'll get 14 points from him off the bench. But if they could find a way to keep Dinwiddie this productive off the bench, while at the same time improving their defense, then that could lead to them taking a big leap forward, even without a healthy Jared Vanderbilt, which would really only make them that much better. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? What are you looking for the Lakers to show during their upcoming road trip? And what do you think should be priority number 1 and number 2 for them? Comment your thoughts down below. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.